Welcome to Counseling 5315, Christian Integration 1. What is Christian counseling? Individuals often have no idea beyond a vague notion of a desire to help hurting people, and faith should somehow be involved in this helping process. Some future Christian counselors use the term pastoral counseling, and others imply that Christian counseling means that they will give godly rather than worldly counsel. Doctors Ron Hawkins and Tim Clinton define Christian counseling as a dynamic, collaborative process involving the counselor, the client, and the triune God of the Bible, aimed at transformational change for the purpose of pursuing higher levels of emotional, psychological, and spiritual health. To properly define Christian counseling, the integration of psychology and Christianity involves two key elements: understanding Christian commitments about human beings and a firm grasp of theories, methods, and findings of psychology. The term integration suggests it takes effort to find connections between psychology and theology. Our lives and our experiences have been disintegrated, and part of God's restorative grace is reintegrating that which has been artificially separated. If the work of Christ lays claim to all of life, the work of integration becomes not just feasible, but imperative. As we attempt to understand the integration of psychology and theology, a Christian counselor is a deeply committed, spirit-guided, spirit-filled servant of Jesus Christ who applies his or her God-given abilities, skills, training, knowledge, and insights to the task of helping others move to a personal wholeness, interpersonal competence, mental stability, and spiritual maturity. Christian counselors are committed believers, doing their best to help others with the help of God. Such a definition includes believers who come from different theological perspectives. They use different approaches and have different levels of training and experience. As followers of Christ, they all accept some basic Christian beliefs. These beliefs form the core of the Christian worldview and undergird Christian counseling. Psychology for the Christian is infused with theological beliefs about our place in God's world. Christianity is much more than theology. It is an encounter with Christ that redeems and reorients human lives. It is less a system of thought than it is a commitment to follow God with our heart, soul, and mind that claims to all of life. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, "How wrong it is to use God as a stopgap for incompleteness of our knowledge. If in fact the frontiers of knowledge are being pushed further and further back, then God is being pushed further back and is therefore continually in retreat. We are to find God in what we know, not in what we don't know. Christianity will orient our understanding of what it means to be human and how we can participate with God's work in the world." Although some present-day scientists continue to be outspoken critics of religious belief, some contemporary scientists promote the idea that science and Christianity are compatible. For most contemporary evangelical, mainline, and Roman Catholic Christians, faith and science are seen as complementary ways of knowing, but with the recognition that these areas of attention will occur. Long before psychology emerged as a scientific discipline, questions about mind and behavior were considered by philosophy, religion, medicine, and folk wisdom. Although now we define psychology as a science, it is inevitably bound to questions that are metaphysical as well as empirical in nature. As psychology moved from psychophysics to psychopathology, it seemingly encroached on the theology's domain, the soul. The nature of moral concern within the religious community toward Freudian ideas was based partly on misreading and misapplication of Freud's findings. Freud's belief that psychopathology was caused by anxiety-motivated repression was misconstrued as a tactic recommendation to rid ourselves of inhibitions and unleash our darker impulses. The church was thus in the position of either having to deny that such evils lurked in the hearts of humanity, or to see psychoanalysts as a means of exposing and dealing with those evils. The Christian response to science was not a monolithic one. The same is true of its response to the rise of psychotherapy. Roman Catholics generally move from their initial suspicion of psychology to engaging psychotherapy with certain restraints. Liberal and neo-orthodoxy factions tended to embrace psychology, while fundamentalist factions tended to see psychology as something to be defended against. The reaction of evangelicalism to psychology has been divided. One faction favoring openness and the other mirroring the fundamentalist rejection. The interaction of psychology and theology is virtually inevitable due to their mutual interest in understanding the ambiguities and mysteries of human behavior and healing human brokenness. The church should recognize that God can reveal truth through psychology, and secular psychologists and counselors should accept that spirituality is an important part of the solution to human problems. To distinguish what Christian counseling is versus secular counseling, secular counseling may focus more on the immediate relief of the client, whereas Christian counseling should include a longer-term perspective, even taking an eternal view of problems. As we build an argument for integrating psychology and theology, the following truths need to be considered. We do not have a choice not to integrate multiple sources of truth. Christian counselors should be intentional about finding connecting points of truth in both psychology and theology. And in spite of a large naturalistic philosophy, psychology still has many resources to help hurting clients. People who walk in the doors of the counselor's office may have suffered deep wounds. The journey of forgiveness, healing, and change is an arduous one, full of complex and difficult challenges. The ultimate goal of Christian counseling is holistic personal growth that leads clients to become people God created to be, loved, forgiven, adopted children of God, learning to love God and love others as themselves. So in conclusion, a proper understanding of psychology and theology gives insights into the complexities of human behavior, learning, and human physiology, and the ability to apply truth of Scripture more powerfully and specifically to those to whom we serve and minister.